Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink, it is time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today I wanted to outline a potential league starter for 3.21. Now this is not a full build guide, it's a little bit too early in the patch hype cycle for full build guides as yet, so this is going to be the core interactions around which a build would be built. Now this is going to be a build that will start out very squishy and that will become tankier with gear, and it is not something that is an all-round build. This is a clear speed oriented build that will have mediocre bossing at best. I think it's the sort of thing that will be fine for killing bosses like the Phoenix, but will start to struggle a bit on anything heavier than that. So if you're looking for a bosser, this isn't the one for you, but if you're looking for something that can obliterate everything in its path in maps, then this might be what you're looking for. Why Wave of Conviction? The skill hits really hard, and unlike higher damage skills like Discharge or Fireball, it doesn't require you to jump through major hoops like charge generation or adding additional projectiles in order to get that damage. It just gets the job done on its own. Now, being physical converted to elemental allows a few extra axes of scaling, such as using Herald of Ash. We're not actually going to use Herald of Ash here. You'd use it during the axe, but then you drop it at endgame. We're going to instead use the much better version of Herald of Ash, that is the new 3.21 version of Lightpoacher. This item has been gigabuffed. Now we're going to go Elementalist because we want everything to ignite, and being a witch, this means that we do have the option of picking up Profane Bloom very late in progression. This will be through Forbidden Jewels. It's going to be a very expensive upgrade and not something you should plan on having anytime soon at all, but once you can pick it up, it will be an incredible power boost. So, Lightpoacher. This item was gigabuffed, and that's the reason that we would be considering this build. It's been bad for years, but it was once very good for low-tier magic find farming. So Lightpoacher has a few things with it, and it's being changed a lot. The key thing is there are two versions of the unique. One of them has one abyssal socket, the other one has two abyssal sockets. You can't turn one of these versions of the item into the other. So basically, if you get one that's got only one abyssal socket on it, you're going to want to upgrade to one that has two abyssal sockets on it later. It's about 1 in 10 to get the 2 abyssal socket version. However, the 1 abyssal socket version is just fine for getting started. It's an uncommon drop from abyssal liches, it's not a truly rare drop. Now it has a mechanic called Spirit Burst. Now this is a skill that it fires off for you while you have spirit charges. This consumes one of your spirit charges, we'll get to what they are in a sec, and it generates a Nova that hits moderately hard, but not truly hard. This is not something that's particularly important to the build. It's there, it will sometimes kill a weak enemy for you, but it's not very important to you. The key thing on Lightpoacher is that it grants you +1 maximum spirit charge per Abyss Jewel affecting you. Now you can very easily get 7 or 8 of these on your character, and really that's enough to get rolling, but you can get more if you want. Now, the Lightpoacher unique helmet is being changed, and it will no longer have anything about life recovery when you lose a spirit charge like it used to have. Instead, it'll be a 100% chance to gain a spirit charge when you kill a monster. So this is going to mean that you're going to be at your cap while you're mapping. As long as you've got any momentum behind you, you're going to be at maximum spirit charges all the time. Then, you gain 5% of physical damage as extra damage of each element per spirit charge. So what this means is that if your Wave of Conviction would deal 1,000 physical damage. Now, Wave of Conviction converts some of that, but before it converts it, you will receive a bonus of, let's say you've got 4 of these spirit charges, you receive a bonus 200 fire, 200 cold, 200 lightning damage. That's 60% additional damage, but this is multiplicative with most other sources of damage. That's why it's so good. Now you're going to be dealing with losing spirit charges whenever you use a skill, but that's okay because we're an Ignite build. We don't need to cast skills very often. And you know what else does physical damage that can then be scaled up by Lightpoacher? Asnath's Gentle Touch, the gloves that cause corpses to explode. This item's availability was buffed extensively in patch 3.19. It went from being tier 1 rarity, which means that only really min-maxers could ever count on seeing it, to tier 3 rarity. This doesn't mean it's common, but it's certainly not a super rare item anymore. It's about 4 or 5 times as rare as Tabula Rasa. So, some gear considerations if you want tanky upgrades. Not an option early, but late game, you could conceivably build 75% chaos resistance into the build, and then use the new masteries. These are the armor and energy shield hybrid cluster masteries. These will allow you to convert 10% of physical damage that you suffer from hits to chaos damage, and they will also allow you to use 10% of your armor to defend against chaos hits. Now this is going to be absolutely phenomenal when it comes to making you tankier, especially alongside Incandescent Heart, which also converts some of your incoming elemental damage that you suffer to chaos damage. This can actually often be a drawback, but on Incandescent Heart it's incredible. You'll also be using Divine Shield and Aegis Aurora once you're rich. I don't think you actually need Aegis Aurora, but it is going to provide you with a tremendous defensive layer. The other option though, if you're not that interested in being super tanky, Skin of the Lords or Skin of the Loyal are both very good, and they'll provide you a bunch of damage. So there's lots of options there. Your other option is just to embrace being a glass cannon. None of the items that I'm displaying here are particularly defensively strong, but all of them are strong. Beric's Respite will allow you to inflict shocks and ignites across the entire screen very quickly. Asenath's Gentle Touch will cause monsters that you kill to sometimes explode, and when they explode, they'll often hit something near them for a whole bunch of physical damage. Now, it's only 3% of their life, but you can scale this up a lot with everything else that you're doing, because this will be scaled up by your Lightpoacher bonuses. Then, on top of that, Replica Duskdawn has the incredible line of text, 120 to 150% increased elemental damage if you've dealt a critical strike recently. Because this is elemental damage, unlike the spell damage that's found on the normal version of Duskdawn, then this is going to apply to all of your ignite damage. Additionally, it has the equally incredible line, gain 10 to 20% of elemental damage as extra chaos damage. Now, there are other options. You aren't pigeonholed into using exactly these items. These are just some of the first ones that I thought of. However, there's going to be a whole bunch more theory crafting to do on this. I'm sure that a lot of you have ideas that can turn this skeleton into a complete build. I'd be interested in hearing them because I'd like to put together something that is a more complete outline for this build. So if you've got any ideas, definitely let me know down below. I'll also post a link down in the description of this video below to a discussion thread that I've started on the Path of Exile builds subreddit. This has been really useful already. There's been a couple of people that have had some really useful feedback there, like for instance saying that maybe this is going too all in on damage and maybe using the Lightpoacher tech is just overkill, as well as people that have pointed out that this same tech would also work really well in conjunction with the Ethereal Knives Gloomfang builds, which are also really good and have even more synergy with the new Lightpoacher. So link down in the description below if you're interested in being part of that discussion and helping theorycraft a build that I think does have some definite potential as a league starter in 3.21. May your Varlorbs have interesting results.